Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. I just wanted to do this quick one that's been on my mind. Um, I guess since my mum passed. Although, as you are probably aware, if you've ever read any of my poems on John Donne poems on YouTube, or listened to these Pursuits of Truth, there is often this reoccurring theme of death or existence or the fragility of it, of life. That's always interested me. I don't know where I get that from, um, but since like I've said many times, since my mum's passed, it's been exemplified. And I know I did do a Pure Truth Death one a long time ago, and I know I've done some since my mum passed. But the thought that kept coming to me recently has been this, and it's probably because to me, my mum's death was um, out of the blue. I didn't know she wasn't well, and she just, when I got the phone call on that Wednesday, on the 17th of April, 2024, and she just slumped, and they were rushing her to the hospital. And at that point, obviously, she'd already died, and they couldn't resuscitate her and bring her back, despite my prayers that I gave all these miles away from her. But then it's made me think about this aspect of, when we pass, all the things that we leave behind, where do they all go? And I was thinking about my grandfather from my dad's side, who passed in 2007. Like, where are all his things? Or my grandma, or obviously they go to other relatives, but is that what it's? Because you see, the thing is, like, I guess what I'm thinking about is, like, in our lives, we strive to hold on to these possessions and etc. And you want to keep them as yours or whatever, and yet, like the Lennon song, and I think maybe Yoko Ono came up with that line, is that you can't take nothing with you but your soul. Because you can't, is it? They're all left behind, and yes, some of them, if they're precious, maybe get passed to other relatives, siblings, children, etc., spouses, but the majority of the stuff, may end up just sitting somewhere in a loft or a shed or in the bin. And I think they were your prized possessions at some point. All the paperwork, you keep thinking that you need this paperwork, and it all goes in the bin. And I'm thinking about, like, that moment of when you're dead and the snapshot of where you lived, how many things of yours that are there, which of course is an oft reminder of those who are left behind, to make them aware of your existence. And I know I've mentioned this on A Pursuit of Truth before, looking around and thinking about all these things that are just going to end up in the bin, or, someone else is going to own them. All this stuff that we maintain and want to collect. But I suppose it's all about, the thing is, like, that's just part and parcel of life, because I suppose the thing is, we know we can't take anything with you, but that doesn't mean that you don't obtain anything. I suppose it just means that life is was only really about the time that you have. I know that sounds like so obvious. Yeah, I guess it is obvious, but we often forget that is all that it is the time that we have. And of course, most of that time is wasted on making other people rich, or keeping the people that lived thousands of years ago's ideas of orders and work and money and all this stuff, greed and possessions. I often talk about Pursuit of Truth. We're just keeping that going. I was thinking the other day that I'm nearly coming up to 30 years of work. I've worked 30 years and I keep dreaming of work. Not of actually doing, well, sometimes it is of doing work, and it's usually when, the when I worked in the warehouse for Entertainment UK, that's the job that always comes in my mind. I don't know if it's because it was the first proper job I had. I mean, I did work for a month or two at Tesco's. Um, but yeah, it was the Entertainment UK one where I have 7, 8 years. I don't know if it's because that was the first one, so it's left that imprint on me, or because I liked the work there. I wasn't happy when I was made redundant when they liquidized. They were part of Woolworths, and maybe it's because the group of people that we were with, because it was like it was a fat warehouse, isn't it? And lots of people, and like that camaraderie that you get with working with people, and rushing to get things done in time, and packing and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that job keeps coming in my mind, and dreaming about those people, and dreaming about the sorters, and all the stuff we used to do. And sometimes I will dream about the AIG job that I had recently, and that like being in the office or being made redundant or my last day or something, or that's usually the dream that I have there, sitting at the desk with a computer. But yeah, it's weird that you have these dreams, and that 30 years, to think 30 years, and I've still got to do another 20 odd more years if I'm lucky. I say if I'm lucky. Is it lucky to be working? But that's life, isn't it? That's if I was 1,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, it'd be a completely different life. Maybe 10,000 years ago, even though I would have lived to 30, say, because people died earlier. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. But if they did, um, maybe they had a better life because they were free, because they didn't have to do all this work. But then I guess they had to, there were lots of illnesses they would die of, and all more other dangers. But that's our existence now, because of this system is just working and doing this job and earning money, and you have to do it because there's no other way that you can live, because unfortunately the system, even though like I always say, intrinsically the truth is that when you strip away all these things, is that we're human beings, we're all the same, we're all brethren of each other, even though someone has cut us all up and separated us all. And we all found ourselves on this place, this beautiful place that has such abundance and everything that we could possibly need, and that we've developed all these things, and we have so much resource, and a lot of it's being wasted on things. And that's the reason, isn't because we weren't given it. It was just because we've wasted it on, to do with the structure of the system and money and competition, like the wasting of materials. There's lots of materials that we manufacture replicas of things, because the system that we're in is that people have to obtain money, and so they manufacture different things and they compete against each other to get that same money. And so that means that you have how many different brands of the same thing over, and like of every product. It's not just because we only need one product. We only need like one fairy liquid or one car or one washing machine. Yeah, maybe you could have some variation, but you don't need how many different companies there are bargaining for that money. And that's wasting the resource. And also the way that we live, of like, oh, a new phone, I have to have a new phone, I have to have a new TV, I have to have a new washing machine, I have to have a new house, I have to have a new car, and that kind of mentality is also wasting the materials. This is the structure that we live within, whilst people are starving and dying when we don't need to, because we've got everything we could possibly need. I know I'm wandering into my usual territory, but that's our life. And of course, it doesn't have to be that way, because we have everything we need. We have, like I say, the mind, power, the resources, our energy, our ideas. We could all work together. Because, like I say, then this is coming back to the beginning of like what I was thinking about, as like all the things, all our trinkets, all our memories are left behind, and that The only thing that was really important was the time in between from birth to death. That's the only time when you can experience anything. And yet we're trapped because we have this beautiful place, we have this beautiful life, and yet we can't do, well, only those 1% can do so much because they have all the time, the money, the power, and they can do whatever they want while they entertain us to death, to quote Bernie Sanders. I heard it on a Facebook of his. I don't really know much about him, but I'll put it in the link if I can find it. He was doing this speech, I think I shared on my Facebook, about oligarchies and Elon Musk and Donald Trump and he echoed a lot of the things that I talk about here. But the only thing he did is he made the same mistake that everyone makes, is like, the idea of like, let's come, he's sort of saying, that we're run by oligarchs. These millionaires, these billionaires who run us, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, Bezos, Gates, whoever. They have all this influence, and there's lots of others. Rathbone, is it not Rathbones? Was it Blackstone, or is it, what's the name of the family that they always give mention? Not Kardashian. What is it? Is it Rathbones or something like that? Isn't it? Anyway, so all of these families, the kings, the queens, the royalty, the powerful people, and he was sort of mentioning that, and that they're going to abolish things and etc. and whatever. But the thing that he said, the mistake that they always make, is the fact that we should all come together. We should all work together to back those politicians who will fight our just cause, and then get into power and do these things. But the thing is you're expecting the same structure that's failed us for thousands of years to be able to solve it, and it can't, because that is the problem. The idea that like I would call like the Tony Blair effect is when you put someone in power that they're going to stay good. They don't. Like, and I reference him because when he became Labour Prime Minister after Tories for such a long time, everyone was thinking like, things can only get better, and he seemed like a fresher breath air, and he was going to bring all this socialist type of stuff, and yet then he sided with George W. Bush and the Iraq and Afghanistan war, 9/11, all that happened, and him wanting to be with him so much, in my view, corrupted him and made him the premier that lied to us all about the weapons of mass destruction, even if he didn't really know about it. I don't know. And the 45 minutes and all that kind of stuff, and the illegal war. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that hoping that system will, it isn't, because the person will get in there and will get corrupted, and it's an impossible. It's because it's broken already to try and. It's like I don't know how to explain, not like a jigsaw. It's like that structure doesn't work because it's not, is built, to keep us in a circle, government. That structure is to keep us, this is your country, this is you care about you, compete with everyone else. And of course, that nature also comes down to individuals. And then we do the same thing to each other. And that's the problem. The structure of government doesn't work in that way, because the truth is, and this is intrinsic truth, is that we are human beings. We found ourselves upon this place, whether it's God or not, whatever you want to believe, either way, we found ourselves all here together. And we've forgotten all this because of our fabric of our story. But we found, if you were just imagine us flying, a million of us to a planet and having to rebuild, that's exactly how we are here. We found ourselves here with everything, with all this abundance, and we've made we've done lots of things. We've established, gone through different medieval age, industrial age, revolution, whatever you want to call it, all these different, technology age, and we are now here. But we're holding on to all that bad stuff that people thousands of years ago who just thought about, I want to put my flag here and this be mine. And, I want to control you lot, and you can bow down to me. This basic humanity of greed and possession that we're holding on to is trickling down to each one in in our schools and education and in our TVs, and us even as parents, because is in here It's because every baby is born blank, and we frame it. And so the truth is that we're all human beings, and we found ourselves here, and we've got everything we could possibly need. This is a beautiful life. It could be a beautiful life. We have sun, we have, air, we have existence. We can love each other. But we only do it on that level of like, I want to make you mine, my husband, my wife, my brother, my sister, my family, my surname. Another box, because that bigger box of government, of country. But the only box we're really in is humanity. And whether we're on earth this way or this way, whichever earth you believe we're on. That's the truth. We're all human beings. We all found ourselves here. Everything is all of ours or none of ours, whichever way you want to look at it. Doesn't make a difference. We share it. We share this experience. We share this time. We share this place. We share each other. We shouldn't just love we should love all. And if we had that kind of mentality, which government and countries and the structure that we live within doesn't acknowledge, it acknowledges it to an extent, but the problem is it's like, I'm going to help you, but here's some money. But you now owe me some interest. But because they don't really want you, that's why they have competitions and levies and tariffs and bidding wars and all that stuff, because they don't want level, they want unlevel. Not that they want, but that's the structure, that's the way we are brought up in that way. And money is part of that problem. Money from a tree. We bastardized, sorry to use that words, the nature that we found, that beautiful tree, that leaf to make, to make paper, the bark to make paper, and then make it into everything into a commodity. We put tags on everything, price tags. And until we see that we're all human beings, we all found ourselves here, and then we will start to see, whoa, yeah, we're wasting our time with these unnecessary, putting clothes on in the sense of like, I'm a professor, I'm a this, that, and the other. Yeah, obviously we need the mentality of it, but we don't need the guise of it. We can do all these things together. We can stop wasting our time making a million different cars, a million different TVs, a million different this, that, and the others to compete against each other, to think that, well, actually, what do we all need? Oh, yeah, we all need an infrastructure. We all need homes. We all need electricity, gas, water, food, medicine, school, education. You still need education because you need that to work so that we help each other. We need all these things, which most governments have, but we need them equal. So that we all, because there's no actual benefit to having one up here, one down here. It's like if you're an employee and you have, you purposely make someone, I don't know how to explain that, but you know what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't benefit humanity to have someone really up here and someone down here. When there's where it's not, that is man-made. It's not intrinsic because we have every fucking thing. We just don't share it with each other. We have enough food. There's no need for starve. People starve. There's no need to starve when the planet actually could produce food for every single person. I'm sure there's enough space on this place for 7 billion or how many ever billion there are of us, for us all to have accommodation, for us all to have the medicine that we need. Because the thing is, like, certain countries have these technologies, cancer or whatever, that we can't use because we can't afford it. Why is there a price tag on living? How stupid are we? And the fact is that because we want to compete in patents and all that, we're wasting, all these doctors' minds that could have come up with cures and things by working all together. But the problem is like the Bernie Sanders thing is that, relying on the thing that is broken to fix you, just because you think that the person, like he quoted Nelson Mandela saying that everything's impossible until it's done. That's what I'm going to call this one. And that is the truth. Everything seems impossible until it's done, because that's how we see things. But it isn't. This is possible, what I'm talking about. But how do we get to it? God only knows, because there's a million people that, all of us are living in the structure that we found ourselves in. How do we unwind that? And when we do, people ridicule you for it and say, well, that's utopia, that's kumbaya, or that can never happen. But what we're living in now has happened, where majority of us have to have passports to go around the place where we found ourselves upon. The majority of us don't get to do this, that, and the other, or experience everything, or have to live a life just to make that 1 or 2 or 10% rich, or each other rich. For what purpose? For just getting through, for just passing to the next stage, rather than experiencing this one existence that we have. Take care. Take it easy. Best. Peace.